hey, when they came to me, it's like, hey, all the teams are doing it for free. And I remember calling either Tommy or Banks and saying, like, yo, don't do it for free.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we already committed to doing this. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it for free. And like, you guys are going to be the only team that's not on this. And, you know, like, you should totally reconsider. And I'm like, no, you're not putting my logo on that. And like, I need to pay my guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the time, all the way up until 2017, 90% of all the money that came in went to the players. And, you know, like, look at my IRS statements, right? Like, Hector and his family didn't make any significant amount of money, more than 120 for like almost a decade, right? Until 2017.
Wow.
Because all of it, you know, if we caught a $250,000 deal, Nadeshot had to get cut, period. And that was because of me. And he, for a very long time, like, he was like, yo, you know, like, if you need to keep some back, like, he was cool about it. But I'm like, nah. They're younger. I have to take care of them, and I don't want to pay myself in a super good light, but that is the fact. So I told Activision, I'm like, I'll let you guys put the logo on, but you have to give me, and then I counted the people on my team. Boom. You got to give me 19 white versions of this thing, and nobody else can have it. Only 19 white versions of the exoskeleton, and you know the black exoskeleton was released to everybody, but only Optic people had it. Yeah. So like even from there, I was making sure that we got something more than everybody else because we're fighting for it. We're doing more than all of them. Not you guys included, but all of them.
Yeah, but we were not as focused in esports. So you're right in that sense for sure.
So I'm like, nah, you gotta give me something extra. I'm not gonna, like, I can't. It's unfair to our work. The NFL is 100 years old, give or take. Esports is 10, about to be 15 years old. I mean, truly, if you think about it, it wasn't up until like 2020 that esports actually became a solidified thing. Like there was the embers were glowing and the fire was like about to start, but it wasn't what it's going to be. You give us 100 years runway the way that you gave NBA and NFL and all that, undisturbed by external factors, and this thing is going to be bigger than all of it. Like the predictions there, right? Like it's obvious to see. FaZe has more followers on Instagram than the Cowboys. What does that mean? That means that if you have a t-shirt or they have a t-shirt, who has a larger opportunity to sell that t-shirt? Nobody from Pennsylvania is going to buy Cowboy, right? Nobody from Australia is going to buy more Cowboy. But FaZe, global. That is global. You're not attached to nothing. The internet has no boundaries, it has no borders, no mountains, no rivers, nothing. It is for the taking. What you guys did, Atlanta FaZe, and still keep your face in there instead of Atlanta whatever.
Yeah.
Like every other team did. That was the right thing to do. That was my recommendation to my board, right? At the time, I wasn't even part of that board. But I'm like, you're not submitting Optic Gaming to this league to take Optic Gaming out of everywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, Optic, like FaZe, is a wild animal that we don't know what it's going to do. It needs to be everywhere. It needs to develop into whatever it is it's going to be. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
We have an idea of what we want it to be, but in the end,
Let's go.
We don't know. And for us to take it out of circulation and only
You're about to get smoked just for doing that dumb shit. Dummy.
Resold from Infinite to that's one of them. I'm not taking Optic out of circulation and just putting it in one league. You know what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, it was just done wrong.
Roughing the passer.
No matter how many times we raised our hands and said this is wrong. And this
Legal
is
man
wrong,
downfield. I didn't even do this.
Listen to the people that built it.
I didn't even do that shit, bro.
Because again, you have your right to Optic that nobody should be able to take away from you. But I think you probably have a secondary intention to kind of, like you have up to this point, everything we spoke about, to kind of put on and lead for the rest of the community. And I know that's driving you as well. Kind of like a precedent for everybody. It's not just about you, I'm sure. It's not just about Optic. I'm sure obviously is a big part of it, but I think you've had that from the beginning. You have everyone's best interest in mind.
How did you feel when somebody who came in as an accountant had more ownership?
Bro, don't tell me I got flagged again. I'm not even doing shit.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Trust me, that was
illegal contact.
The worst situation for me. Me specifically, I got stuck kind of in the middle of like, you know, I have these FaZe members saying, why do I want more, you know, they want ownership. Understandably, you've been here for a decade. and I would talk to the CEO at the time, the board, and they'd be like, "Oh, we don't have enough." And you're right. Me being naive.
Oh, damn, $300 don't want to go down, boy.
Someone for the last 10 years of work, blah blah blah, and I'm like trying to do the best I can. This phase member starts hating me. I'm getting cussed out by this guy. I have the best in mind for him. He thinks that I don't. I go to the, weeks later, I see some guy get hired, and I find, look at finances, and I see, to your point, this guy has 300,000 shares, but they just told me they only have 75,000, whatever, for this pillar phase member, right? So you're right. It is an insane thing for me. Like, unfortunately, again, like I wasn't able, for many reasons or whatever the reason is, to fight the way you did. I just never had the.
Don't blame yourself for something that you have no control over. Like we are not equipped.
Yeah.
Because we didn't go down that path. We went down a creative path that turned into something that everybody wanted to be by. You can't blame yourself for not knowing things, too. Like
no.
It's hard to be the peacekeeper, which is what you were trying to be.
Yeah.
You're trying to be the voice of reason between corporate and that.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to tell the corporate people why creative is important, and it's impossible for you to tell them why people who have nothing to do with gaming are important.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ownership thing is the one thing that always.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing.
I said at the beginning, you got to take it away from me. You said that's not true. You sold it.
Yeah.
Can you speak about? I mean, let's just like go back to that point. You just mentioned how you were only making 120K a year, match, right?
Yeah.
Right. You were just taking a salary.
Plus my channel and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say
in some years included. Yeah.
Okay. So most of us, like for us at FaZe, most of our income came from, not most of it, almost all of it. 90% of it was from our YouTube and the brand deals we got, or whatever, separate from building FaZe. With FaZe, right, I'll speak for myself and the other founders, we just built it and just thought about, at the end, we'll figure out money.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, dozens of people came in, to your point, got equity, they cashed out. I had someone tell me a week ago,
what the fuck?
Millions off of FaZe. I'm like, that could be the case, right? But for us, we always...
It's like nothing ever happened, dummy.
Since I started working full-time and I stopped doing content, right? But for example, people think we sold our stock from public.
Better said than done.
The way it works, we were locked for like 6 months, a year. By the time we were able to sell, the stock was 90% decrease. We never sold to this point, right? Because one fades. It's just like the optics.
Unless it's worth it.
Exactly. And, if it was worth it, I would do it. So that's the thing. For example, if I was able to sell at the price that we went public at, I would have definitely done it.
Yeah.
With all, right? But, like, by the time we there was nothing. So for us, like, we waited. We felt like we were there. We were being told by everyone we're going to. And we never got that moment. We've never sold a penny. We never made money off of it, right? For you did sell off it. And then, unfortunate circumstances, you kind of... Can you just break down the whole thing, I guess? In
2017, when everybody was getting investments, I was approached about a sponsorship. I walked through this very building when I came to here to looking for the investors to put in. And I wanted to get an investment enough to give my players a raise so that they wouldn't have to go somewhere else. But the full acquisition came about. They put a number in front of me that as a husband, as a father who has sacrificed a lot, who has made that much, it was a dumb number, right? I'm like, of course. I'm like, yeah. And I fought for that until the very end to make sure that I got that figure. Once I got that figure, I paid Scum, I paid Big Timer, I paid Embos, I paid, I gave, even though they didn't have equity on paper, I felt as they did.
Okay, so you're the only one with equity at that point.
Yeah, it was because I didn't know any better. Like,
yeah. No, but I mean, it's interesting. Again, I know, I'm sure the number's not public, but it was a big amount of money.
Yeah.
Like, that money that could set up your family for your good. Okay, so you sold them, you got paid.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? You sold it, I'm assuming, transition to
90%. I sold.
You sold 90% and you were going to still be running the company?
No. At the time, Jay, who was a very close friend of mine, 12 years. Since then, we've had a falling out, but I don't have any ill will, and I hope, we just life paths.
Yeah.
But I told him, I'm like, yo, I don't want to run this thing. I want to make videos.
Yeah.
I gave up 2 years of being a YouTuber to build this thing. So the income that I was getting from my channel was no longer there because I was solely focused on this and managing that thing. It's impossible to do both. But then I was wrong because years later I vlogged every single day for 2 years straight while still doing my job. And at the end of that, when the money came in and we all moved down here, I had said no to board seats. I said I don't no board because I didn't know You know, I didn't know what it entailed, and I didn't want to do anything. And I'm like, I have the right guy in place to manage this thing to go to where it needs to go. I'm going to be a content creator. I'm going to be the best content creator in Optic. So that's what I wanted to do. Still to this day, that's all I want to do.
And I completely understand that, too. Yeah. Probably sick of the managerial things. And you sacrificed doing that for so long.
Dude, I walked into the office, the first time that I walked into the new office where the Infinite Esports was operating, I walked in and I see a flag of another team that they had acquired hanging proudly in an Optic office. And I'm like, is this out of here, right? And I got mad at that. And then I walk in, I said 90 people working, and I'm like, it's only been me for 10 years. What do we need 90 people? Give me their salary. I'll do their work the way I have been. It was super quick the way that thing went down, man. Like it was just bad strategy after bad strategy, and I laid it all out, right? Like one of the businesses was it was an esports academy. That was not supposed to be an esports academy. They created this farm system in which they would house athletes, and then the theory was that they were going to sell them to teams, and that's how they were going to make money. My thought was, no, we're going to create the Pop Warner of esports, in which moms are going to go drop off their kids, and they're going to take a class from Jack Courage Dunlop, who's working for us at the time, and they're going to play Fortnite with them, and that's the thing. And they turn it into sports immediately. But anyway, so the question was, how did that come about, and how it ended up?
Well, I was just my first question was if you got paid, which thankfully you did. So you got paid. You paid out all those guys, even though they didn't have equity.
Yeah.
So they all probably made pretty good. So you were 100% owner at the time? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I mean, obviously we all of us were always split. You know, there's four of us versus you're by yourself, but.
It's easier to make decisions.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And it's the right one.
Imagine. Yeah.
It was the right one. I couldn't let... Listen, I checked in with my boys in every single turn.
Yeah.
Right? And at that time, there was no thought of selling, right? I didn't have 100% of this thing knowing that I was going to get what I got. You know what I'm saying?
And you just said how you were giving them 90% of the money.
No, they were making all the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't getting paid. They were paid along the entire way. You know what I'm saying? They were making their salaries and whatever. I think I did it the right way. You know?
No, 100%. It's just it's crazy for me because I can't even tell you how many different people own FaZe now. It's sad. It sucks. It's unfortunate how little I know about a lot of this stuff. But from the early days, we had someone come in and again, bad decisions were made, but just got taken here. The big piece of it got taken here, and the big piece got taken there. And then the investors, and it was for me. That's why I'm shocked that you had 100% for that long. And again, like you said, you weren't really selling, so they came to you, and you couldn't resist the number.
I could have resisted it, but it would have been dumb for me to resist it. In fact, I think that it was the best decision that I ever made, because once I had that much money in my account, it made me mobile. And the deal that I caught, because they wanted me out so bad that they wanted to take this new thing, they said yes to all of my requests.
But going into it, did they want you to work on it still? Or did they?
Oh yeah. Okay. But they didn't want me to be in any leadership position.
So you kind of had like a handshake thing with them that you'll still
I was on paper.
You'll still be able to be the creative.